Now playing on Tubi.
Bigger fish.
Let me call the police. What did you just say? I am done. I am done with all of this. Look, I am no longer the small girl you brought from Nigeria. I'm now a grown woman and I intend to live like one.
X and Y.
Wait, you actually think Kelvin Badmox would want to be with you?
He loves me.
He doesn't love you. He was only using you to get my attention, and now he doesn't need you anymore.
Love Official.
What the hell are you doing here? And why are you on my chair?
Can you please ask Camila to move to the smaller office?
No, I'm not that kind of person.
I Am Nazi.
They came for a show. They came to see the sexy lady perform, all right? So what I need you to do is go out there, shake them tits, move them hips, and get us some money, all right?
Surviving You.
I am done. I am done with this sham of a marriage. I am done being treated like this. I am done. I need to get out. I want out and I want a divorce.
April is Poetry Month. I dressed up today because this is a special show, not for the Hollywood people. We are starting today's show with a poetry recital by my niece, Chiamaka Okonkwo. Enjoy.
Yeah. The second poem I'm presenting to you guys today is We Built This and They Broke It. We were born in fire, shaped to struggle, branded with pain, forced to survive, taught to shrink, to made small. When our spirit refused to break, they took our fathers, broke their backs, left us to piece together shattered lives, expecting us to fall apart, but we were strained from the ruins. They stole our voices, erased our histories, made us ghosts in our own story. They changed our name, twisted our image, tried to bury us under lies. They hung us from trees, called injustice, watched our bodies swing in the wind, then turned our culture into fashion, danced to our pain like it was a song. They feared our strength, silenced our leaders, took our music, made it theirs, ignored our cries, dismissed our truth, but we kept singing, kept breathing. We carried generations on backs built from resilience, turning wounds into the story of triumph. But listen, they want our rhythm, but not our blues. They love our culture, but not our scars. They crave our strength, but not our fights. They praise our voices, but not our cries. They want the legacy, but not the history. They take our life, but dim our lives. But we don't break. We multiply. But we don't bow. We rise higher. We are the children of resilience, unbreakable, unstoppable, undeniable. We built this world from ashes and sweat, where nations were bruised hands and tired feet. We are the light that refuses to die, the voice that echoes through centuries. They can't kill what refuses to fade. We are here. We are forever.
And at 6:30 p.m. in Lagos, Nigeria, and 1:30 p.m. in New York City. Wherever you're joining us from, welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes Africa. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. My co-host, Chido Onuma, is on assignment. If you're a filmmaker in Africa, or African filmmaker anywhere in the world, your success hinges on your ability to reach a global audience. International distribution on platforms like Tubi, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Freeverse, and Netflix is key to expanding your reach. Joining us on 90 Minutes Africa today is Sam Okhade and Michael Addis. Sam is a Hollywood veteran with over 20 years of experience as a producer and director across television, film, music videos, and content curation. As the CEO and founder of Crossmarket Films and Afritalent agency, Sam specializes in distributing Africa-centric films to a global audience. He will share expert insights on how to get your movies, TV shows, and documentaries into the hands of international distributors. Joining Sam is his partner at Crossmarket Films, Michael Addis, a seasoned Hollywood professional who, like Sam, sees the potential in Africa-centric content. With over 20 years of experience in unscripted TV, Michael has worked on notable projects, including The Real World, Impractical Jokers, and the History Channel's Assembly Required with Tim Allen. He has also produced 3 major feature films and now leads the production side of Crossmarket Films. Please join me in welcoming to the show, Sam and Michael. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us, Rudolph.
Yes, thank you, Rudolph. It's an honor.
It's an honor.
It's wonderful to have 3 of you, 2 of you, and we're expecting some other producers to join us in a few minutes. But thank you so much. Where do I start? How did 2 of you decide, after many years of working in Hollywood, decide that you want to help to distribute African products, African movies and documentaries? Let's start with you, Sam, and then Michael.
Okay. Well, it's a long and short story. We started off with different projects. The TV world, the film world, the talent representation world, and going through all that and then being able to find your niche market. It came by coincidence with people calling you that, hey, I have a film, I need to get in the hands of this person. I have a film, I need to get in the hands of this person. So going through all that on a monthly basis, we found that there's a niche market that needs to be served. So we started building our client base. We talked to the people in the industry, and Nollywood has been overlooked, even though it's the second biggest market out there in the world. There's Bollywood, there's Nollywood, and there's Hollywood. The amount of films that come out of Nollywood on a monthly basis is the only other industry that surpasses it is the Bollywood industry. And Nollywood is being watched all over the world, from Eastern Europe to South America to I've been in places where I just say, oh, I'm Nigerian. Oh my goodness, I love Nollywood movies. So we saw the potential for it, and we talked to the people in the industry. We talked to a lot of different stakeholders, and the interest was there to create this company whereby we can become legit distributors and find homes for all these different Nollywood projects. A lot of producers in Nigeria, they feel like that their final destination is YouTube, which is not the case. They feel like the bigger budget Nollywood titles will end up maybe on Netflix, but we've seen the Netflix entrance and exit out of that market. We've seen Amazon, the entrance and exit out of Nigerian market because they don't really understand how it works. But we are able to take these beautifully well-developed films and clean them up and put them correctly where it needs to belong. There are some high-budget films, ranging from high-budget films to the ones that look like they did on the iPhones. Usually, the quality control process is still there. Yes, but the market it's great. Michael and I saw the opportunity to be able to present Nollywood in rooms that have never been talked about. The emphasis on Korean movies right now is very, very high. The emphasis on Eastern European production is very, very high. But there's nobody really out there fighting for Nollywood movies, even though people love watching it. But it seems like the quality has either remains the same or just a little bit higher. So you've never heard of Sony coming to Nigeria to do a big production buster, or you look for like an A24 studio coming to Nigeria to do a big production. So those are the things that we talk about, like, why this studio is not coming to Nigeria, the hub of Nollywood. So we see the opportunity there. We see the need to continue to strive to push Nollywood to the forefront here in Hollywood. And you can't just say you enjoy Nollywood. You can't just say you enjoy Afrobeat without being committed to growing it. So that's where we are, Rudolph. We are at this fight.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. Sam. Michael, do you have anything to add to what Sam said?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything Sam said. But I would just add that, what got me excited, aside from Sam's friendship and he's a terrific guy, is that Nollywood makes about 2,500 feature films a year, and Hollywood makes between 700 and 800 films a year. So, there is that disparity of Nollywood and Nigeria and Africa are pumping out these movies, and we're seeing some really great movies. Are we getting, we're not really that concerned about Oscars, but are we getting Oscar attention? I think it's just a matter of 1 year to the next. It could be, you could see Nollywood explode. Like Sam said, South Korea blew up with Parasite. France last year with Emilia Perez and The Substance. And Mexico has some really great films coming out of there. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before Nollywood blows up. And I just, being a film fan as well as a filmmaker, I just would love to be part of that. So I jumped in.
That's good. Now let me ask. I'm looking at some figures here. It says Nollywood is $6.4 billion generated in revenue,
which is only 1.1% of the GDP for Nigeria.
Yeah, but who makes this money?
Sam, you answer that best.
Who makes this money? It's how would I put it delicately? The film producers in Nigeria do make this money.
Oh, they do?
They do. They do make this money, and they've found the Nollywood industry started off with just like about everything else, with CDs being sold on the streets. And now we have streaming services like YouTube, whereby filmmakers feel they can monetize their films straight to YouTube, or they can do deals with film houses in Nigeria and get it theatrically released. So somebody, is making films. The whole chain, they're making the money. It depends on who's getting the biggest share. Is it the distributor, the theatrical release distributor? Is it the platforms? But the complaint is not as high, because at the end of the day, everybody in that chain, that blockchain, is making money.
Can I add, Rudolph, that a lot of times the economics of the feature film business in America is very much like everyone pays attention to the big splashy films, the Avengers or the new Disney movie, Star Wars, whatever. But if you're pumping out this number of films as Nollywood does, and each one of them is making a little money or a good amount of money, but not something newsworthy like 200 million or $1 billion, that's a good business. It's a lot of people making a bit of money or making their money back on their films and getting them shown.
And I think Nollywood, I believe they're in the business of volume business. You keep churning it out, and
nothing wrong with that.
$dollars, but it's a great business premise. But at the same time, you get lost in quality control. So
that's our job.
We'll get to that. But I want the bigger picture first. Can you help me understand what is the place of the African story in the global narrative? Is it becoming bigger, more desired by people around the world? Where are we?
Oh yeah, we're pretty high up there. The African narrative, the African story. I mean, we see the success of Wakanda, Black Panther. Wakanda is not even a real place, but people say I want to go to Wakanda. We see the success of Coming to America, that both the part one and part two that Eddie Murphy did. We live in a very globalized world. We have people here in the United States that want to understand how people in Nigeria live, and there's a lot of culture shock. Like, oh my goodness, they have nice houses, they have this, they have that, and the same thing in Nigeria. People want, Nigerians have always wanted to know how people overseas live. So there's that intercultural, interworld exchange going on, and that's what film does. Film tells stories and brings people to the forefront. Nigerian stories have always been celebrated worldwide. I mean, from Chinua Achebe, the world-renowned Wale Soyinka's poetry, those stories have always been entertained globally. So now, on the big picture wise, I can't say we really have like a big movie that can be attributed to like Nigerians, but we have a lot of good movies that have been made from Nigeria. But in terms of big production, like $100 million movie that should be getting made in Nigeria now, we're still working on it.
Michael.
Yes, sir.
Any addition to that? I wanted to ask about, he mentioned Wakanda. It's quite interesting, about authenticity and what image Africans portray. When it's done by Hollywood, when Hollywood tries to tell the African story, and when Africans tell their story, what are the differences? Which one is more authentic?
I mean, that seems obvious. Yeah, it's not very. I mean, Americans just don't know Africa. Americans barely could pick out Africa on a map. They don't even know whether it's a continent or a country. So we're a little bit ignorant of that, and we certainly can do our research if we have a big budget film. But I think you're getting the best voices, the most authentic voices directly from Africa, whether it be South Africa or Nigeria or whatnot. And I've seen some amazing films from Africa, but I think that, going back to your other point, the reason that foreign cinema excites the world is because of the freshness of voices. Just you get bored of the same stories being told over and over, and anybody who has a different take on. And what I'm seeing is people have different takes on common romantic problems. We see a lot of success in romantic comedies or romantic dramas. I prefer the comedies myself, but that's a lot of people in America will look at a really interesting Nigerian movie and just say, oh, wow, that's another angle, completely different angle on love or whatever.
Okay. Is there, do you notice resistance or kind of skepticism on trying to pitch African stories, contents to major platforms?
Well, the world we're in right now is studio movies, independently made movies. Independently made movies are movies that are self-financed by the producer, a director, or mom and pop. And the studio movies are movies that are done by the big studios like Sony and Paramount. So they decide what they want to make. It's their money. If they find a good story, they find a good opportunity, they'll go for it. And imagine being a big studio and everybody's sending you all kinds of different ideas, and you have your own in-house team. So you're drawn between places, but the bottom line is you're there to make money. So as a big studio, if you already have something that works for you, and you don't need to repeat the wheel. You can just grind that thing out over and over and over again. They can make Fast and Furious, 20, because it's a great franchise that makes money. But if you say, hey, there's a story in Nigeria that we can tell, and that's a risk for them to say, do we want to participate or not? But then as an independent filmmaker, you can do whatever you want. You can make any movie you want. If you find financing, you can tell the story you want to tell. And how do you distribute it is, okay, do you go back to the studio like, hey, I've made this film, I want to sell it to you. I want you to distribute it for me. And then that's where the deal making starts.
Okay. Michael?
Well, I mean, I think that the economics are smart with sometimes with lower budget films, because if you're betting hundreds of millions of dollars on a new take on Snow White, it's just a massive gamble. But if you make a really appealing little comedy for a couple $100,000, it's like, we know how to make that money back. It's not, if it's the right kind of film and it's it looks good, it sounds good, it has good talent in it. Oh yeah, that's a lot easier to retain the control and not have so much groupthink and still be able to get your film out there. And that's what we're doing. We embrace the filmmaker, and we're not just looking at the old IP, like a 30 or 40-year-old story, and then having to retell it.
Yes.
So looking at the platforms now, Tubi, Amazon, Netflix, and others, how do you decide where to pitch a particular movie you receive? Where do you typically take the movies to?
So we have a varied number of relationships that we have with these platforms, from Tubi to Amazon, and all depends. Everything is broken down into 3 different plots. You have your AVOD, which is the advertisement video on demand, and that means that your movie can make money when they put adverts in it and people watch the movie and they watch the advertisement. Then you have your SVOD, which is like a Netflix, so subscriber video on demand, that you have to have a one-on-one relationship and do a deal brokered by them. And then you have your TVOD, which is your TV video on demand, meaning that somebody goes into Amazon and likes Rudolph's movie and pays $2.99 or $3.99 for it to watch it right there on the spot. So it all depends. Most movies are done based on this 3 mix. So because you're not going to theater, the ultimate goal is for you to get your movie seen. The ultimate goal is to make sure that your movie has worldwide distribution. You can make a movie now and somebody in Colombia can watch it because of these platforms. They don't have to wait for it to come into theaters in their town or anything. So these platforms provide a market whereby people are able to watch anything they want, any category of film they want. And even now I see some of the old films that we grew up with, some of the old TV shows that we grew up with. It's there on YouTube, it's there on Amazon, it's there on Tubi. And these films have been relicensed all over again. So these platforms have done a great job to archive films, to make films, to make their platforms the place for the films to reside. So which is a great thing. So like you said, like your question is, where's the best place? There's not really a best place. It's just a mix of different deals that can be done. And the ultimate goal is to make sure that your film makes money. So how do you create that mix? Do you want to go the TVOD route, the SVOD route? The SVOD route is usually the Netflix route. But Netflix, it's you know how Netflix is. They pick and choose what they want. So you want to go the AVOD route, which is the best route to me. Is like the power of your film is in your hands. you can market your own film. You can say, hey, you know, world, I have my film on Amazon. I have my film on Tubi. Please go watch it. You market you become your own theater. So those are the three different ways to market your films, but there's not one single mix. It's all a different. It's all, they all have different criteria depending on how you want it. There's some people that say, hey, you know, I just want to get my film bought out right there on the spot. But nobody, you know, your film is competing against so many films. So how do we make your film started out whereby Amazon say, okay, we want to pay you $1 million or we want to pay you $100 million for your film? You know, are you a seasoned director? Do you have Tom Cruise attached to it? You know, so there's so many different mix of ways to sell your films.
Okay, so how you want to ask something, Michael? No?
Oh yeah, I mean, Sam touched upon something super important, which is the marketing. I mean, you know, it used to be they would pat the filmmaker on the head and go, "We've got a marketing department. We'll take care of this. Go sit down or go make another movie." Now it's like, you know, they could go on TikTok, they can go on Instagram, they can go on YouTube, they can go on LinkedIn and promote their film. They can make their own trailer. They could, I mean, we could, you know, we'd have to help them most of the time, but like still all that kind of promotion. I mean, you're talking about, there are people out there who have connections to millions and millions of eyeballs through social media and utilize it. And you could do quite well that way. So it's a very exciting time for filmmakers.
So if someone approaches you guys and says, I have this movie I made 10 years ago, can you represent me and get it into these platforms? How do you begin to evaluate the video, the movies before you sign them on?
That's what we do on a daily basis.
What are the criteria? What do you look for? What do you look for? How do you
be good? I mean, it has to be good. It has to have potential to reach an audience. We have had a filmmaker who really didn't care about the audience, and that's a bad way of going about the business of distributing film.
So he or she made it for whom then? If
she made it for herself.
And I'm like, I mean, not to be crass, but if you make love, you're doing it to please another person, not just yourself.
Yeah.
He or she was just there to please themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, but are there things you look for? Because there are some watching now, some movie makers or even those that will make movies in the future who are watching and they want to know.
Well, let me throw something out, and Sam, because I have strong opinions about this. I think that movies that travel well are just something, they're not depressing or too down. They don't offer only the problems of society. They offer the problems and then the solutions of individuals in society. So like a good romantic comedy that shows how someone handles a difficult problem of being torn between two lovers or whatnot. Those do well, I think. And I'm right now crunching data, but I do think my gut certainly tells me that the world doesn't want to be depressed. They want to be uplifted, and they want an interesting new angle on a common problem or challenge of someone in the world community. So somebody in Africa could have a great influence on somebody in America if they have a good take on a common issue.
Very good.
Does that make sense, Sam? Was that?
Yeah, I mean, so the question itself is, you said, what do we look for?
Yes.
Well, we look for stories, like Michael said, stories that are relatable. We look for stories, and then also we look at quality of the film. So we've had some films that whereby if we go in and then we have to do reshoot and do redesign. Like last year alone, we spent so much money on quality, trying to get to improve the quality of a lot of films. And at the end of the day, we looked at the amount that we spent. We could have shot like 10 films from just cleaning up those films. So a lot of people come to us like, hey, I have this film that's been sitting there, and technology improves every day. So I can take something that was done 10 years ago and try to remaster it to modern times, when there are things that have been done in modern times also looking for a home. So you're competing. So the most important thing is, like, you shoot a film, you already know where it's going to reside. You prepare for the next year, or the next year and the next year. So your film, the quality has to be great. So that's what Michael and I would deal with every day. Either the
sound issues, color issues.
Yes, the coloring, and people forget that when they make films, these films are shown on different devices, from your laptop to your iPad to your phone, but they make a poster for one device. By the time it comes up looking on a different device, it's distorted. So there's so many things that you have to watch out during, not just making the film, but also delivering the film for a distributor to make their life easy. And ultimately, you want people to look at you. The first contact is your poster.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I want to click on this movie on Netflix to see if it, is the poster that attracts you, or the trailer? If you don't spend time on your poster or trailer, nobody's going to click on it, and nobody's going to watch it. And next time, even if Netflix were to give you a deal for $1 million, and they see that it's all about the matrix. If they see that only 10 people watch your film, and next time you decide to produce another film, they're not going to buy it from you.
Mm-hmm.
So people forget that how do I packaging? We come in the world of packaging. How do I package my film whereby the layman wants to just watch it?
Mm-hmm.
Not that, I'm just going to put it out there and see. No, what's the point of making the film if you're just going to put it out there? You have to have your target market in mind. So the poster has to look great, the trailer has to look great, and the film itself has to be well done.
Michael, any?
Well, I would add there's exactly what Sam said, but there's all these extra complications. Like, you know that your film will be shown on this device, and it will be shown on, a 50-inch screen or a 70-inch screen and whatnot. I mean, most are not theatrical, but even if it's not theatrical, people have home theaters that are pretty robust and pretty amazing. There's that. And then also, one thing that's interesting, I have a friend who's a musician and he travels the world, and he just kind of became very famous in Australia. He's from Nashville. So it's like you never kind of know who's going to fall in love with you. So you really have to make that product that could make it anywhere in the world. We do like America because it's a big market and we're here, but Europe, Mexico, Australia, you have to make your movie for the world.
Yes.
I wanted to ask if there is any particular storyline. Michael, you mentioned romance, comedy. Is there any particular storyline that is doing well or is underrated or overlooked by African movie makers?
If you're asking me, I think romantic comedy is terrific. I think it travels pretty well. I think that the idea of young men or young women or older men and older women going to Africa is real exciting, coming out of Africa and traveling. I think that there's an appetite for people understanding foreign countries and having stories that transcend those boundaries. To me, that's what I like to focus on. Here's a great example. So Crazy Rich Asians was a story about something a lot of people that are not Asian don't understand, which is that these very wealthy Asians and coming out of Singapore or whatnot. That was interesting to the world. It was really well made. It was a fun story. The actors were terrific, and it was tackling this area that a lot of people were like, they saw the poster, they're like, oh, the title is really good and the poster is really good, and so we're looking for things like that. Not just like Crazy Rich Asians, but you know what I mean, like a story that with that kind of appeal.
Yes.
Yeah, Sam, you agree?
Yes, definitely. I mean, like Michael said, the world is so interconnected. People want to understand how the others live. The story is coming from, it can be from a small village in Nigeria, how they're living, how they're dealing with common issues like love, how they're dealing with economic situations. And that might be relatable to someone here in Los Angeles. Like, wow, I just saw this movie from Nigeria that, wow, this beautiful girl was trying to choose between three guys that she thinks might be a great suitor. So it all, those stories, rom-com, they're always very relatable. The only thing that I know that Africa is still struggling with is action movies. And action movies require big budget. You have stunts. You have to make it look really real. They're still struggling with that. But what has worked for them so far is drama. A lot of drama coming out from Africa. And the drama is great. It sells. And people understand drama because a lot of people have drama in their lives that they can relate. So drama, rom-com, those are the two big angles that's worked very well.
When I put out the flyer that you guys were coming, someone reached out to me and said whether you are involved in shaping up the scripts. They have a script. Are you involved in production? Do you get into any of those areas?
Yes, I mean that's part of the services we offer at Crossmarket Films. We check out scripts. We help package your film. We help you with the deck, and we have relationships and partnership with financing companies, and so we go through all that circle, the production circle with you, and that's some of the services that we provide. At the side distributing, we can help you from scratch.
Okay. So looking at what's going on, we're talking about films. What about documentaries and TV shows? Is there any appetite for documentaries out of Africa? There are many stories about Africa and African heroes, and they have not been told. Do you think there is an avenue for someone to get into that, or are there people already doing it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I watched the story about Thomas Sankara. That's one of the best movies that was made. Then the story about Idi Amin. That movie was like a Bible to all Africans.
Are you talking about The Last King of Scotland?
Not The Last King of Scotland. The original Idi Amin movie that was made.
Okay.
Yeah.
The old one.
The old one is like a Bible to a lot of people because the actor, I fell in love with him. Like I thought he was Idi Amin, and so those can be made. There was a movie idea that we tried to pitch around a while back about Kofi Annan, and that never got made. So there are a lot of African heroes. They've done so many movies about Mandela. Everybody has tried to be Mandela. So there's so many stories out there that can be told. I talked to a filmmaker, and they were working on the last days of Gaddafi. That's a serious movie right there. And so Africa is a bedrock for stories. Africa is the origin of the world. So we, as filmmakers, we that were in this pipeline, we feel that there's so much out there that hasn't been done yet. If it's documentaries, yes, people go to Nigeria to shoot documentaries. People will go to Africa, all parts of from Zimbabwe to South Africa to shoot birds. The birds from Zimbabwe or the lions from Botswana, and these people, this is their niche market, and people watch it and they sell this. So pick your niche, and I think you find a market for it.
All right, Michael.
I'm anxious to talk about this because I directed 2 feature documentaries, and the one that I'm most proud of is is Heckler, which was just looking at the early days of, it was looking at hecklers in comedy, but also hecklers on the internet, and how the internet grows more and more contentious every year. So, something like that works pretty well. One of my favorite documentaries of all time, The King of Kong, was just about guys playing Donkey Kong. So, and that battle. So I think that I agree with Sam, focusing on the story of Gaddafi is great. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? But also these little stories or offbeat stories or discoveries of strange things that are true sometimes really capture the imagination and really take off. So yeah, you never really know, but it could come from anywhere. It could come from any subject.
Sam, I was thinking about old TV shows of the 80s and 90s, like Okhade, Living in Bondage, I think. Do you think they can be revived?
Oh, yeah, they can. They can be revived and they can be retold. I mean, American TV has remade so many films of the old to the new. Right now, a lot of them are keeping my mind, but there's just, those stories can't just die off. They can be told with a new flair, a new way of storytelling, a new way of story making, whereby it's relatable to the current generation. So, Kokra at Dawn, I remember watching it religiously. Then there's that movie that was based on the book of Chinua Achebe.
Yeah, Things Fall Apart.
Things Fall Apart. And Things Fall Apart.
They just signed a deal to make Things Fall Apart with Idris Elba.
Yes.
That's a Concord, yeah.
Yes. And that story is going to be told, and with a modern flair. It's not just, so there's so many stories from back then that can be revived. But like I said, there's still a lot more stories that hasn't been told yet.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So
Living in Bondage, I just looked it up. It had a sequel just recently in 2019, and it was from the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always the case, that stories can be dusted off but again, I believe what Sam said, like, you never know. Somebody just comes up with a fresh take on something, and then you're off and running.
So there is this guild of Nollywood producers that started here in New York before COVID. I'm not sure where they are now, but they, I attended one of their meetings, and they were talking about things like challenges that they are having with production, distribution, and the dichotomy between movies made by Africans in the diaspora and movies made by Africans at home. One of the challenges is that when they make movies here with actors and actresses based here, they find difficulty finding distributors back in Africa because they want faces that they know, African faces. At the same time, the movies made here have difficulties getting into Hollywood markets, So what do you think about those concerns, and how will you address it if you are talking to them?
Well, we've had those concerns relate to us. We've had producers come up to us like, hey, I made a film here and it's African-centric, but I was told to take it back to Africa to distribute it because the market is not here. And there are I believe over 3 million Africans living in the United States. And we've had vice versa. it's how would I put it? In terms of distribution, there's so many channels. Just because one person said this doesn't mean that that's how you're gonna focus on it. You decide where you want to take your movie. You decide how you want to market your movie. If we've had a situation whereby a producer made a movie and they said they'll take it back to Africa, and he self marketed it to the point that Netflix eventually came to the table and said, "Hey, how much do you want for it?" So those concerns are valid because I've heard it and I've been at the receiving end. Like, hey, take this film back to Africa. We can't distribute it here, or you don't have an attachment. You don't have an American attachment, or you don't have a Nigerian attachment. Even taking films back to Nigeria that were shot here, it's not viable financially, because at the end of the day they're like, oh, okay, we don't know who this person is, we don't know who that person is. So that's why the success of YouTube has grown. YouTube, it's a what they call the leveler of all films, So that's why the success of YouTube. But then also I tell the filmmakers that other platforms out there that will take your film and you can generate income from it if you do the work.
Okay, Michael, anything to add?
Well, I mean, I've always believed that films inherently are hard to make. There's numerous challenges. I look at every film project and it's like you're forcing it to get made. The film doesn't want to be made, and that's the nature of the job. So yeah, it's going to be tough. But if you listen to the audience and you look at the analytics and you really study the market, I mean, I think if you look at, let's just take YouTube for example. The man who's the king of YouTube right now, the most successful, is Mr. Beast. What is he known for? Analyzing the market, analyzing the marketplace, and responding to the marketplace. He's making really great personal stuff that he loves, but he's not doing it in a vacuum. He is paying close attention to what people want. And so I would say that hopefully filmmakers, understand, look, I may want to make a very, very serious drama that's very dour, but the market may really respond to something a little lighter. So just pay attention and don't be tied to these deep desires of like, I want to make this even though nobody else wants to see it.
And also, just to add something to it, I mean, there are a lot of Nigerian content on YouTube channels that are making some crazy amount of money. The views are crazy. There are films out there that are doing like 10 million views, 20 million views, and congratulations to the people that are marketing those channels. They're doing very well. But there are also other. I mean, we come into this saying that there are options for you. That's what Crossmarket does. There are options for you besides YouTube. There are options for you to the Amazon. Yeah, we have options like, we have airlines that we sell films to. We have shipping people that we sell films to. We have countries that we sell films to. From, a local TV station in the Caribbean can decide to buy the license for your films. We have customers in Eastern Europe that we sell films to. So there's so many people out there that would buy and license your films.
So I wanted to know, for you, what do you consider a successful film that you have marketed? Where did you put it? What platform? How did it do?
So we have a lot of films right now that we're in acquisition of. We have over 100 films right now on Tubi. We have quite some films on Amazon. We have films that we've partnered up with that on Netflix right now. Right now, we have films that are in production that we're developing that we hope to go to the studios. So we have a lot in the pipeline. So I can't really pinpoint one because we're lifting everything up at the same time. But things that we've done in our past, we know the success of projects that we've worked on in the past. I mean, like if I look at my resume, I know things that I've done that like over like $50 to $100 million in revenue generated.
400 million?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, if you look at my resume, if you look at the things I've done, yes, I've worked with Disney, and I've seen the things that they've done on that project.
I had a Nollywood actress on the show I think last year, and she talked about the challenges. She moved to America hoping to break through into Hollywood. She had difficulties everywhere she went to. She was told that she was speaking with an accent, and they couldn't fit her in. She started making her own productions out here. What do you attribute to the challenges? Because if you look at Afrobeats, they are able to cross over, they're able to integrate well with the American market. Why is it that Nollywood is not doing that?
Well, there are a lot of successful Africans in Hollywood. From the lady that's on Bob Hart's Bishola Falake. Her show went on for like 6 seasons. Beautiful show. And it was directed by Gina Yeshere, a famous Nigerian comedian. There's this girl this lady in Hollywood making waves. She's on that show. Is it called The Beast? Michael Ayo Debiri.
What's that?
What's the name of that cooking show? The Beast, or that girl Ayo Debiri? We were talking about her.
I forget.
The cooking show is it called?
Yeah. God, we just talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
So sorry, but yeah, there's.
Yeah, so she's doing really well. So there are a lot of Nigerians in places, and I know doing very well in the Hollywood space. My friend Sammy Ratibi, he's doing very well. He was in Django, he was in Superman, he was in Lord of War. So, but in terms of Nollywood actors crossing over, I know a couple of Nollywood actors that actually be able to do voiceovers and things here in Hollywood, but I can't say her situation is not valid, because in Nigeria, for example, you're going to make a movie and you already know who you want casted for it, right? In Hollywood, you're going to make a movie. Different is like,
Sam, we can't hear you.
He just froze.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So in Nigeria, you're gonna make a movie. You already know who you want to cast for it. But in the US, you're trying to make a movie. You hire a casting director, and even the bigs, they go and audition for it. So even though you audition for it, it does not mean that you're guaranteed to get it. Except if you're like Denzel and Tom Cruise, So, but in Nigeria, they're like, okay, we want this person. We don't care whether she's a good fit for the role or not. This is the person we want. So that mentality, I've had discussions with some Nollywood giants, and they come here and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm auditioning. I've never auditioned in my life before, and this and that. But that's just how they're two different marketplaces. The Nigerian marketplace is different from the Hollywood market. Even some big names audition, they go into auditions and they might not even get the role. So how do you transition from Nollywood to Hollywood? It all depends on you as the actor. If you have an accent, go get a voice coach. If your style is Nollywood acting, which is, to me, is still There's a lot of things that need to be worked on. Get into a film school or a theater class, and don't believe that it's gonna be a natural symmetry into the next market because you're in one market. It doesn't work that way. Nollywood acting is totally different from Hollywood acting, and Michael can add to that. And we talk about.
Oh yeah, I mean, first of all, like if you're going to become a plumber, you study plumbing. If you're going to become an engineer, you study engineering. A lot of people think they can just jump into acting without any studying. What Sam is saying is very important. There's like a voice coach. It's not that we're mad at Nigerians if your vocal range or your accent is difficult to understand in a foreign market. I mean, the top actors, most people can understand them. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're making a movie about Africa, sure, but how many films about Africa has been made every day? So if you're filming about Africa, you're a Nollywood actress trying to make it in Hollywood. Yeah, of course you can be part of it, but until you work and develop yourself before you can actually fully get into the system.
Right, and the other thing that's pretty new is you could blow up on social media. You could have, a lot of times when people are casting, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying like if you're casting somebody who has like 5 million followers, you have a built-in audience that's very attractive to anyone who's distributing a film.
All right, so platform is important to have.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we have I've seen two major producers, movie producers, who and an actor who is joining us. But let's take a break. When we come back, we will get them involved in this conversation, and they will also be able to ask you guys practical questions on what they are dealing with. Let's take a break, and then we'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you.
Go fish.
Let me call the police. What did you just say? I am done. I am done with all of this. Look, I am no longer the small girl you brought from Nigeria. I'm now a grown woman, and I intend to live like one.
X and Y.
Wait, you actually think Kelvin Badmox would want to be with you?
He loves me.
He doesn't love you. He was only using you to get my attention, and now he doesn't need you anymore.
Love official.
What the hell are you doing here? And why are you on my chair?
Can you please ask Camila to move to the smaller office?
You know I'm not that kind of person.
I am Nazi.
They came for a show. They came to see the sexy lady perform, all right? So what I need you to do is go out there, shake them tits, move them hips, and get us some money, all right?
Surviving you.
I am done. I am done with this sham of a marriage. I am done being treated like this. I am done. I need to get out. I want out, and I want a divorce.
Now playing on TV.
Liberty
Now
City.
playing on Tubi.
Bigger fish.
Pick up the body. What did you say? I am done. I am done with all of this.
Cashing
I am
out.
no longer the smuggler you brought from Nigeria. I'm not a grown woman and I intend to live
Brown sugar.
Hey, stop. Just think that I was wasting my time and fooling myself. Why didn't you just tell me that you've been dating me like
Why
you see me?
on my chair? Can you please ask Camila
Ill-fated.
to move
Come and
to
be
the
in danger.
small
You know I'm not that kind of person.
I am Nazi.
in the house. I
Came for a show. They came to see the sexy lady perform, all right? So what I need you to do is go out there, shake them tits, move them hips, and get us some money, all right?
Surviving you.
And DNA test
Done.
clearly show that this
I am
child
done with this sham of a marriage. I am done being treated like this. I am done. I need to get out. I want and I want a divorce.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to 90 Minutes Africa. We are having a conversation with our guests, Michael and Sam. I think Sam didn't come back from break, but we'll get back.
I was dancing on break. That music was so good.
Oh, thank you so much. That's one of those things we hope that the world will get to enjoy some more of African production. I think it's already happening as we speak. All right, I think Michael is back. All right, Michael. Okay, so we are going to be joined by a few people who have been watching, who want to contribute. Some of them are in the industry, so when they come in, we will get them involved in this. Let me ask you, if you are talking to young African filmmakers, what will you be saying to them in terms of their career path and what they should be doing and thinking about at this point?
If I could start, I would say study, and learn as much as you can. It's watch as many films as you can. Get out there, grab a camera. If you can't afford a camera, use your iPhone. There have been successful films made with iPhones. I mean, it's not an ideal situation, but get out there and make films, watch films, and learn as much as you can about the world around you. I think I know certainly a lot of filmmakers now are doing it all. The fellow made a noir, Sean Baker. He shoots, he edits, he writes, he directs, he produces. And I think more and more people are just grabbing their cameras. I got mine right back there ready to go and getting out there and shooting.
Sam.
Well, for a young filmmaker, think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Be creative, as you know, because you're in a very competitive market. So how do you stand out? Create an audience. You're your best champion. You know, some of the creative things you do, put out there so people can see what you can do, and start anything. It can be small shots, and especially you never know where it leads. I remember the kids from Uganda that dance on YouTube and on Instagram. And next thing they're making a music video with what's his name again? And now they're internationally known for making great videos. The kids from my gig, is it the kids from my gig? They too, they're internationally known. They work with an iPhone, and so be creative as much as possible, and people will notice you. And just don't do it for people, but just do it for the art of it. There's a method to art, and there's a method to this madness. Study it.
Yeah.
What about AI? Should they be worried about what AI would do to the industry?
Of course.
Well, yes and no. They should be worried, but they should use it and learn how to use it.
Yes. Like AI, just like every tool out there, it makes your life simple. I mean, a lot of people are freaking out. If you're a script writer and you find this device that can write a whole complete script and wipe your job away, what do? Do you transition over, or do you take that device and start finding how you guys can live in a very happy world together? Maybe they write the script, you analyze the script. So don't look at it like an adversary, but look at it as a tool that you can use. AI never replace like a true actor. You can have AI films, but not a true actor. So at the long run, look at it as a partner versus an adversary.
Yeah. All right. So I have Oliver Mbamara. Oliver is a movie actor, a director. He starred in several movies. This America. He starred in Slave Warrior. He's also he did action movies. Oliver, I can't remember. Oliver, welcome to the show.
Hi, Oliver.
We can't hear you. Unmute yourself, Oliver.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, good.
Okay, yes. Good day, everyone. And welcome, Sam and Mike. It's good to have you.
Yes, hi.
It's an honor to meet you, sir. I just looked you up. You're very, very accomplished. You're a lawyer and a poet?
Yes, he's everything.
Okay. I'm a little intimidated, but go ahead.
We just try. We just try to do what we can.
So, Oliver, do you have any question or comment on what they've been saying and how that applies to what you are doing and your challenges?
Yeah. Again, like I said, it's good to have you guys on the show and thank you, Rudolph, for bringing them on because there are many platforms like this that discuss Nigerian issues and African issues, but very few of them think of bringing artists on and bringing people in the entertainment industry on so that they can also interact with the prospective filmmakers, actors, writers, creative content creators over there. So thank you for that. So to Sam and Mike, in fact, Rudolph knows because I think it was probably in 2003 or 2004 that Rudolph tried to float his script. And we are still waiting for him to float it. And the reason I bring that up is just as a backup to what I want to present to both you, Sam and Mike, which is there are many Africans there that have very interesting stories to tell.
Right.
And it might also help for you to get what I'm saying by also saying that I am the president of the Nollywood Producers Guild in the USA here. That is an association of filmmakers from Africa, Nigeria, and all that come together here to see if we can make things happen for the filmmakers here. And tying to what I said about Rudolph's story years ago is that the challenge here is to get the funding. And sometimes filmmakers, if they don't get the funding, they go ahead and do the film with their limited budget. And what that does is that it kind of stifles the story. You know, it doesn't allow you to express the story the way you think you want to express it because you are working with a budget. And the other challenge being that we have Nigerian background, many filmmakers here have to contend with the fact that, like Rudolph mentioned before, when you do a film here, sometimes the story is tailored towards Nollywood audience or Nollywood content. So you find yourself having to consider the Nigerian audience. But because we are not in Nigeria, we are not in Kenya or in Ghana, you are not well equipped to market your product there. So you are caught in between the seas. You are caught in between the diaspora and the Nigerian audience and the Nigerian field. Sometimes when things happen in Nigeria towards promoting filmmakers, we don't get first-hand information because we are not there. Sometimes we hear it when it's already been pushed up and people have already taken advantage of it. And even there's been instances where people will come from Nigeria or Ghana to come and perform here and eventually or learn something about filmmaking here. And we don't even know about it, even though some also try to reach us. So the point I'm trying to make is just to give you an idea that there are lots of filmmakers here who would want an opportunity to be able to, one, have the funding to do the film the way they want to do it, and two, be able to market it and get it out there. Because it's one thing to do the film, it's another thing to also get it marketed, get it distributed. And some of us are mostly artists, and we're not too knowledgeable in the marketing aspect. Although as filmmakers, of course, we try to know how to do all this, but the challenge is still that you need people who are in it fully to help you out. And that brings me to my question, having given you a little bit of this background, is that a lot of filmmakers here would want to get help with those two areas, funding and marketing / distribution. You know, so whatever help we can get in that direction would be appreciated. So that's the presentation I'm making as the president of the Producers Guild. My own personal needs are apart because I'm also a scriptwriter. I have scripts and I have my own content, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about generally right now, how they can tap into the fact that you are both there and doing what you are doing to help. So how do we tap into that?
Well, Crossmarket Films, like we said initially, came about, trying to fulfill the needs of Africa-centric filmmakers. And in the last 1 year, we've acquired over 100 film titles. Some of these are already on platforms like YouTube, but the directors and the producers of these films wanted a better platform for their films. And we've had to do a lot of work to clean these films up for these better platforms. So saying that, our company right now, we're acquiring a lot of films based on the needs of these different outlets. And the catalog of films that we have, it keeps growing every day because a lot of people are knocking on our doors with the same issue that you're having right now, saying that we want more distribution. And don't forget, these films, they all have various qualities, various budgets. You can have like a $20,000 budget to like a $2 million budget to a $20 million budget. It all depends on where your film category fits. So it's not one socks for everything. So if you're a filmmaker, you already have your audience. The conversation that we have with you is different from someone that says, "Oh, you know what? I'm just making a film for the first time. Let's see how it goes." That's a different conversation. But yes, our doors are open for whatever discussion It is, if you're a filmmaker and you need consulting or you want us to help you in the development phase. So we do development, we do marketing, and we do distribution, and we do the production as well. So all those four components are essential in the filmmaking process. There are a lot of filmmakers that all they know is just to make that film, direct that film, but when it comes to marketing it, it's a whole different territory. When it comes to distributing it, do you know how many great films are sitting on computers in the world right now that haven't been released because they don't know what to do with it? They know how to make it, but they didn't know how to, don't know how to get it out there. So, and those are the conversations that we have every day with different filmmakers. And our company was created for this scenario, and we would love to listen to everybody. It's an open door policy. Reach out to us, after the show, and we'd love to talk to you one-on-one.
Okay.
Oliver, if I could add to that, what you're talking about is just money and marketing, and obviously we can do marketing, and we're getting more into like building up funds to help people out. But I think there's that third component that you know very well, which is education and understanding, getting the knowledge to understand right at the beginning, what are the things that you can do in the very beginning stages of your film, the development, we call it, right? That is going to make it easier to market, easier to sell, easier to be successful in every way. And then hopefully, I just love the idea of creating that snowball of your first film does well enough to fund your second film. And if you want to be a filmmaker, I remember when I was doing my first film, we had an actor sue the film. It was just for silly reasons. And the whole film crumbled. And I was very, very depressed. And somebody told me if you're a filmmaker, your job isn't to make one film. Your job is to make many, many films. So I just don't want people who are filmmakers to get distracted or disappointed, for the idea that they're struggling. It's, by any means necessary, get that movie made. I think you know that very well. So we are willing to help at every stage. But really you gotta just put your head down, as you have done many times, and just get that movie made and take the advice of people who want you to succeed. And we do.
And don't make that movie like your do or die. If, like Michael said, you're a filmmaker, make that movie and see, make it a learning experience, a lessons learned for the next one, until you get to that promised land. A catalog of movies is a better resume than, I made one film and I'm still waiting for it to pop. No. Nobody's going to talk to you. But if you're a true filmmaker, you have to have a complete resume of films. I did this, I did right here, I did that, right there. So that's why people take you seriously.
So M. Night's first movie was not The Sixth Sense; it was a failure. Yes. And then The Sixth Sense was his second movie. So you'll get there. Just keep on grinding away.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about it, don't. So I'm going to give you an example. I don't like giving names. We have a film on our roster, and this film was a YouTube film that was given to us by a licensor. We ended up cleaning this film up, and this film, I could have sworn it was made for less than $300 the way it was. and this film is on a platform right now, and this film makes about $5,000 every month. And we have another film on this same platform that makes $2,000 every day. And these are not great films, but it appeals to people. Some people are watching it; they're loving it, And the owners of this film are like, "Wow, this is great." I never thought this film would see the light of day, but these films are generating that beginning. And these were films that I made like years ago, and now they're generating income right now. So don't dwell on the now. Dwell on the resume, the leader, and but like our people, they want it now. They want it now. They want it's not going to work. The art of filmmaking takes it's expensive. Yeah, it's a long game. It's not just if you're looking for a noun game. This is not for you.
Right now, stop all of that.
All right. One more thing. Let me just say this about Oliver before I go to Rahman. I went to Kenya to cover an election, and I had one guy, my driver, who was driving me all through. Oliver knows this story. And one day he started talking to me about, Nollywood movies, and he said, "Do you know Slave Warrior?" I said, "Slave Warrior." He said, "Yeah, by that one guy, Slave Warrior." And that was Oliver's movie. And I was I was a reporter covering the election in Kenya, and this guy was talking to me about this Slave Warrior. I said, "Hold on." I called Oliver from Kenya and put him on the phone, and the guy thought I was the biggest person in this world, that I know this actor, Oliver. So it tells you that, I know Oliver's works, but I doubt Slave Warrior wasn't even the one I would think about first. But here in Kenya, one taxi driver, that was a big thing for him, and I made his day. So
our films have been consumed. They have a shrine of Omotala Jalade in the Caribbeans. They love her so much they build a shrine for her. I mean, I've talked to my fellow compatriots in Eastern Europe, and they're like, "Oh my God, we watch Nollywood." They consume Nollywood movies in China and Japan, and I'm just like, wow, I'm blown away. Like I was throwing out the number. I'm like, this dead film is making $2,000 a day.
All right, Oliver, I'll come back to you next. Let's go to Rahman. Rahman, welcome to the show. Rahman is a movie maker based in Boston, and he's been on this show before. Rahman, you are meeting Sam and Michael.
Hi, Rahman.
Hi, Rahman.
You're muted, Rahman.
You're muted.
You have audio. I think your audio is not on, Rahman.
Yeah, we can hear you, Rahman. All right, Rahman is frozen. Oliver, go ahead if you have any question in the comment. Oliver, you're muted too. I'm not the one muting you guys.
Well, if Rahman can hear me, hi, Rahman.
You're muted, Rahman.
Let me try to see if I can mute Rahman.
Yeah. So Sam, Mike, the other thing I wanted to ask is, you mentioned a platform. So I may not have listened to everything you said before, so I don't know if you already touched on this and I missed it. But most times producers who have films usually ask for like, what are the terms that their movies can be taken up for? And this platform issue comes up sometimes. And the experience of most producers have been that they have not gotten sincere responses with movies that are put up on platforms that broadcast or screen. So while the movie makes a return, they don't get that return. So it has made some producers skeptical about releasing movies for platforms. So like I said before, I don't know if you already talked about, if you have a platform and if you talked about it before. And of course, the other one which is natural is that, of course, when you want to do distribution, you discuss terms of marketing. So that is not really much of a concern, because I think that would be if somebody brings the movie to you, then you look at the movie, you discuss the terms, and that's all. But the area of platform, if you have not touched on it, I would maybe like you to see, if you touched on it before, maybe if you can just touch on it briefly. If you have a platform, this old movie that I say is making 5,000 and 2,000 a day, it will be interesting to see what platform that is, because many producers here, including Rahman here, have films that are good that can be brushed up and put up again and make money and cleaned up, like you just mentioned. So it's something interesting that we would like to know about.
Yeah. So there's Tubi. Tubi was bought by Fox Studios about 3 years ago, for over $400 million. And Tubi is American-based platform, but they just tried to enter the European market last year, but they're not really doing that well in Europe. But they're growing here. They're well known here in the U.S. And it's a platform that actually pays, I believe, pays much more than YouTube does. And a lot of people don't really understand it, but their matrix is much more simpler, and a lot of people are making money from it. I have some film producers that are making millions of dollars from it, and they, so some of those films, don't forget, some of them we take films from everybody, not just Africa-centric films, but films that were made here in Hollywood, they're old films, new films, we take them. And don't forget the components of films. Films that seem attractive based on the poster, or films that have attachments to them, like a big Hollywood star. So one of the films that are doing well has an attachment to it. It's an old film, but from a big Hollywood star. The Nollywood film that is doing very well. I've never seen this people before, but the poster looks great. The poster is something that, like I said, is the first point of contact to market your film. So I'm sure a lot of people scroll on this platform Tubi, and they're like, "Wow, I like this poster. Let me click on this film and let me watch this film." And the film has been doing very great. Don't forget, we have over 100 movie titles on this platform, and we have access to about 1,000 movies right now, based on some of the deals that we've signed out there. We're collectively trying to get everybody up, but some of these films that are on there right now, they already have, how do I put it? They have following behind the producer or the actors, so they will always get watched. Oh wow, this person just did the movie, it's on blah 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 blah. They will get watched. So that's some of the things that you need to watch out for as a filmmaker. Who is going to be your movie? The graphics, the marketing part. There's some films that we license that the licensor are the ones that do their marketing. Their films on social. Watch my film on this. Watch my film on that. And they're the ones driving up the revenues for your films. And so it's not just about just making the film and giving it to the distributor and hoping the distributor will give you millions of dollars. It's not going to work that way. An AVOD system, advertisers voice on demand system, means that the more people watch the advertisement, the more money you make. So if you sit down there and wait for the distributor that's dealing with like 1,000 titles, what makes your title special? Have you paid extra amount of money to make them put your title at the top, or what makes you special? So I always tell people that come to us, whatever titles you're bringing in, it's a partnership. We do our part, you do your part. It's this world is all about who makes the biggest noise. So the more noise you make about your film, the more you do the marketing, the more money you make. Never live your life in the hands of somebody else. So you are the driver of your own product. And that's how, so these films that I mentioned, I'm sure the licensors or the people that brought it to us, I'm sure they're doing their part to get the film mentioned out there. That's why this numbers are great. We work, Michael and I, we look at the data. We're a data-driven company. And we look at, okay, why is this film doing well and this well-made film is not doing well? What is it? Is it the composition of the poster, the trailer? What is it? What do we need to do? So, and those are some of the conversations we have with you when we do our general meeting. We're very transparent. We sit with you and tell you that, okay, your film is not doing great. Maybe we need to pull it out and we do this and we do that. There are a lot of films that we had to clean up last year, and I don't want to tell you how much we paid to clean them up. Like films that had like sound issues, frame issues, poster issues,
subtitle issues. That's a big one.
Because a lot of people make films, but these little things come with it to market your film. If you're having subtitle issues and the platform keeps yanking it out, today your film is on, tomorrow they yank it out because it doesn't meet quality control, and then you're spending like a month to fix it. It doesn't make sense. So come to us with a full package so that we don't have to deal with these little things. Not even little, they're big things. They're things that you need to make your film successful.
Yeah, it takes a little more know-how to make a low budget movie than a high budget movie, which you have a low budget movie, you have to pay attention. If you're the director, you have to pay attention to the sound and how to make sure the sound is right. You have to be able to understand the editing, the exporting process. We're about to do a big podcast that explains a lot of things that we're seeing, that patches up some of the holes that you guys both know. But bad sound in an independent film is going to kill the watchability of that. People don't want to struggle to hear a movie.
Yeah, the quality control process of these platforms, you can throw anything on YouTube and you're fine. But this, if you're looking for you're looking for something with more, it's not, well, I won't say classier, but you're looking for a bigger and better base, you need to polish your films. You need to make sure that you have your films correct. You never know where it's going to end. It can end your film can be used as an example on CNN, or it can be used. So your film has to be polished up properly. One day you can have a theatrical release like, let's just release this movie on the theaters in the Caribbean. You never know where your movie is going to end.
Right.
Make sure your movie is prepped for success.
All right. Thank you. Let's go to Rahman. Rahman, I think you're okay now to talk.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Hi.
Yeah. Good to see you all here, Oliver. Yeah. Such a long time. I'm sorry, it was my enemies that were working with the sound. They were trying to block it, but finally I'm able to win over. And well, we're very happy to have you, and thank you very much, Rudolph, because we've been watching this show for a while. But for entertainers like us, we've never really had something that would say it's very meaty that we can put our teeth into. And so as African filmmakers, I can see you yourself, this is something that you do all over the world. You understand a lot of the problems that we face, and Oliver has also talked about some of the things that we especially we in the diaspora here, how sometimes you find yourself caught between two worlds, and it makes it difficult. And I know he was saying that, talking about films that need to be, he said he's not talking about himself right now. He was actually talking about me. That he's trying to say we have a great filmmaker in Boston that you guys need to listen to. That's why he kept saying I'm not talking about me. But we're caught between these two worlds, and so there's a lot of things apart from the fact that the telling stories, trying to tell stories. You're living in a world that you're trying to tell stories, and you want people in that world to watch your films, see what you have to say. But at the same time, you're from a place where you want people to also see, and that way, the art of telling that story is first one of the challenges, and then over years, over the last about 2 decades, it's been very difficult to say you actually want to do anything that you can sell at all, unless you actually go to a VHS and trying to shoot something that, we all know how things were, especially in the early days of Nollywood. So you don't have, but thank God, all the digital revolution, and suddenly we are in a position where you can actually make quality films. And now our problems is solved to the point of how do you now make tell stories, what kind of ways to tell the stories, what kind of ways to market the stories, because we know sometimes we say, yeah, even in the Western world here, a lot of people want to hear stories from Africa, but then we're trying to make these films and you don't really get anyone ready to say, okay, yeah, bring it on, or let's do this together. And now we are trying to also tell certain stories, and you have even filmmakers, producers, and film studios in Africa, in Nigeria, afraid to really take that step with you to say, okay, let's do this. Yet everyone tends to talk about every year, oh, when are we going to have this Hollywood, Nollywood big production that's going to be, but everyone's afraid, and all of this is going on. I mean, how do you see all this landscape and how things might be in the next few years?
Well, it's just gonna be driven by art. It's gonna be driven by filmmakers. The right filmmakers can make the right film, and boom, you blow up. That's my point of view. Like, I think it just comes from that. Look at how long Sean Baker just made these little films before boom, blew up and got a bunch of Oscars. I mean, I don't think Nollywood, or I don't think any film community is any different. It's going to be struggle, get those filmmakers who are just working their butts off and making things happen, and maybe there's a bit of luck to it too. That's my point of view. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, each market has its own growth. I mean, for example, the black market here, I mean, look at the rise of Tyler Perry movies. It was like boom, boom. He did the grinding, and now his movies are everywhere. Look at 50 Cent. He just signed a deal with a big studio lot in New Orleans for 30 years. He has, and his movies are, they all came from grind. So, and just like with Africa, Idris Elba just signed a studio lot deal in Ghana, and you never know where some of these contents are going to be. Somebody's going to be creative enough to use these platforms or these opportunities to create films that are relevant to the world, whereby it's given its accolades. But you never know until you keep trying. There are some films that are still being talked about today. I'm sure the filmmaker went to the studios and then they went and independently made the film, like Hotel Rwanda is still being talked about today. The Last King of Scotland is still being talked about today. So when Nollywood start making films whereby they don't just look at what their disposition is in terms of financially, but going out of the box to make films that that it's going to be international standard and it's going to be worthy of the world. Yes, that's growth. Look at where Nollywood was from yesterday. Nollywood films yesterday, some of them I can barely watch them. The sound, the editing, but look at the movies that are on Netflix right now, like Black Book is on Netflix right now. The Gangs of Lagos is on Netflix right now. And these movies that were well shot. So there's a film that a friend of mine did, Kinani, and Kinani tells a story about sex and human trafficking. And we showcased the film here in Beverly Hills. And by the time we turned the lights on, everybody, doesn't matter what race you were, I saw tears in everybody's eyes. People were like teared up. And all of a sudden people started getting up like, hey, I have a confession to make. I was trafficked. I was done. And that movie touched. It was just amazing, the reaction to that movie. And this was by filmmaker Tola Olatunji. And so the disposition that we're here and it's not going to grow is wrong. We're going to grow. We're going to tell better stories. We're going to have resources to be able to do it better. before you need like big budget to do effects, to color, but technology has improved whereby you're coloring just like that, your voice just like that. So technology has improved. So there's no excuse to not make a great movie anymore. And nobody's gonna take like a dish. Before we felt the need to take films that we felt we could clean. But now going forward, we're like, you know what? There are great films out there that we don't have to spend as much money out of pocket to fix. So things are improving. And the filmmakers from Nollywood or Africa in general, Gollywood, South Africa, they need to realize this and start making great films from that continent because they're competing. It's the global marketplace. You're competing with a whole bunch of people. You're competing with the films coming out of Korea right now. I mean, for Netflix to invest $2 billion in Korean films, and they plan to invest on that $4 billion in Korean films this year. But nobody's talking about African films because, so why are they not talking about African films? We learned that Netflix exited the African market in Nigeria, exited the Nigerian market, sorry, and it's why. So those are the fundamental questions that we need to ask ourselves. What are we doing that we should not be doing? Or what are we doing that we can do to improve the situation of things?
Raman? So it's all going. I mean, I just want to put a fine point on it. It's all going to come from the filmmakers. When you look at Mexico and how it's blown up, how did that happen? It's Alfonso Cuarón. It's Inarritu. It's Guillermo del Toro. These three guys, boom, made Mexico a filmmaking powerhouse. What 2, 3, 4 guys or girls, whatever, are going to make Nigeria a powerhouse? It's just going to come down to that. That's my opinion. Does that sound wrong to you?
Yeah, no, it sounds perfect. I agree with you completely. It has to come from the filmmakers. You have to come up with something. But there's also an aspect of with the market itself that sometimes can be concerning a little bit to some extent. For example, I can give you 10 good Nigerian films that are on Netflix right now, made by filmmakers in Nigeria. That they are very good films that you would expect that could cut across the world. But also, marketing is part of it, as you've been talking about right now. Many of these films, if you see them on Netflix, they are marketed in Nigeria. You watch the media in Nigeria, you see the marketing and stuff, but you don't get the marketing here. So a lot of people actually don't know about these films, and that these films are good enough to be shown around the world. I mean, I just said 10, but I can give you more very good films by Nigerian filmmakers there. So that is also part of it, and I think I also ask these questions because working with film makers, film producers like you as well, where some of this conversation will need to come up. Say, if I give you a film and you want to sell my film to any company, to be Netflix or something, to be able to really discuss and negotiate the idea of knowing that this is a product that the marketing is not supposed to be limited to just one small area, in order to be able to tap to mine the potential in this. So that's some of it. But I completely agree. Filmmakers have to do the heavy work.
Yeah, but we will market to every available market. Like we will. I mean, we're going to go out and see how we could. I don't want to exploit the movie, but we're going to try to get it everywhere. And because the exciting part is you never know what community is going to just fall in love with this film. So you really got to try it out a lot, and you got to be partners with the filmmaker, and they have to be out there promoting.
Thank you. That's
all right. Let me ask one question for either Mike or Sam. Oliver has Culture TV. When I saw that it featured Chief Zebediah Okhade, which is one of the old comedians in Nigeria, it was supposed to be a TV series. And I've been thinking, what will it take to have African family featured in a TV like sitcom in America? We've seen the Latinos, we've seen every other different communities here. But do we have an African family in, even if it's HBO or any of these specialized channels? Why is it not happening? Is it that the actors and actresses and the producers, directors are not working together to produce something of high quality? I'm not saying that the ones we have is not. I think they are something that could get in somewhere, but they are not. Why is that happening?
Well, wait. I mean, one of our more popular shows, The Daily Show, was hosted by an African. Like we're all willing to embrace Africans, you know. So, but the other idea, well, I don't know. Sam, you could probably answer this better than me. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of shows out there, but not a lot of shows, but the shows that were developed for the American market that shows the African household. For example, Bob Hart's Abishola. I have a couple of friends that were on that show, and it went on for 6 seasons, 6 years. So for it to go that long, it means that there was an appetite for that show. That show was highly rated show. They ended it, I believe, last year, or something last. That was last season was last year, you know. And I was talking to one of the actors, Bio, who's on there, and he said, "Wow, he didn't know that there was great reception for this kind of show, and we thought it was just going to be one season. They were going to shut us down, and there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and the show was placed in the right hands, and that's why it went to that level. So saying this, you can develop a show and pitch it to the right people, and get in the right hands, and you never know. So all we're talking about right now is you never know where it goes. Nobody is a predictor of success, but you just have to do it. So that's the business we're in. You know, we'll pitch all day, and something might get greenlit, and go out there and make a blockbuster, but you never know until you do it.
That's why I think people need to take a chance on a young company like ours, or a scrappy company like ours, because like the big boys will take an English TV show like The Office, that's a big hit, and translate English into English for an American office. So the big boys tend to not think things travel that well. And we don't agree with that. And we're seeing it with in film. We're seeing that Netflix is seeing it too. Like foreign films are doing quite well. And so we're all in on taking Nigerian stories and keeping them as Nigerian stories.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of like, oh, we have to have all white people now on this show.
Yeah, and Nigerian stories, African stories are very receptive on British TV. You know, for example, I have a friend, Wale Ojo, that did Meet the Banjos, and the Meet the Banjos went on for a long time. And even Idris Elba did a family show on British TV, and it went on for a long time. So, like I said, you know, we shouldn't just do one-offs. If we have a collection of creatives that come as a huge bundle, we should just, you know, do the show. Series, doing movies that have series is a new thing it's exciting right now, that keeps people on the edge. By the time, it was one night, I started off with this show, I can't remember. By the time I was done, it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, you know, because I couldn't switch my TV off. So series are another thing that you know, people should think about when they make movies, especially for the African market. Instead of doing part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, you know, that is old school. Just do a series, you know, that keep people glued in there, and then you don't have to worry about, you know, recutting this and doing that, and you know, no, do a series. So those are the things that you should look at it. There's so many audiences out there. There's one of my favorite shows I watch right now is Murder in Paradise. It's a show that is done on this fake Caribbean island, and that show is addictive. You know, people watch that show religiously, and it's about the Caribbean police station that solves these murders. So those are the things that, think outside the box, and trust me, people will watch, or you have an audience out there.
Okay, Oliver, you have any other question, comment?
No, just to follow up on the mention of cultures, which is that is a story exactly as Sam was saying. We're trying to think out of the box when we did that, and also the other reason which motivated that show was because a lot of veterans in Nigeria acting industry were being ignored, and many of them were dying for reasons that you think could be eliminated if they had been given some attention. So I was thinking of a story out of the box. Instead of just doing films part 1, part 2, let's do a series. And so we came up with that idea to do that series and involve Chief Zebudaya, who is anybody who knows comedy in Nigeria knows Zebudaya of the Masquerade era. And we shot it as a series. But then we didn't have the, it goes back to what I was talking about. Like there's something you said, Sam, you said, if the movie is in the right hands, right? We didn't get it into the right hands. So eventually we are doing it as a YouTube series now because it was shot before the era of 4K, So we had to do it. So it's running as a YouTube series. We just finished this first season, which is 10 episodes. We're going to continue next month with the season 2 and continue from 11. So I don't know how far Tubi goes, whether Tubi has a section that addresses movies that were done before the that were done in the pre-4K era, or series that whether you have room for that, so that because that is a story that I think you might also like. Because it talks about the African family, which we think is missing here. And like you said, Bob Hatsam Abishola, it's an interesting story that a lot of people could relate to on TV, especially Africans. So that series we have is also in that category, but it was shot in the shorthand. The challenge we have is that it was shot in the pre-4K era, so it's not in 4K. And again, when we didn't get it into the right hands, like we didn't find the right hands to get it into, we resorted to putting back and then settling for YouTube series. So even if it's something that maybe I can talk to you later and we'll see whether there is.
Definitely. I mean, you can, call me, send me a trailer, send me the pitch deck, and those are the things that I would love to work with you on. I mean, right now we're in the 4K, 6K, 8K era right now, but that doesn't mean that the old films are dead.
Really?
Doesn't mean.
What was it shot on, Oliver? Like when you say pre 4K, that's every film is pre 4K. Like what is it? What do you mean?
Yeah, it was a 1080p.
Oh, so the camera was shooting 1080p.
Yes.
That's tough.
So
I mean, we could definitely put it back in, get another transfer, and then export it to 4K. But the resolution is just really rough.
Yeah,
it's hard. I mean, people still watch Clerks. That looks pretty rough. But I got to see it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody has any other question. I am hearing about. I wanted to know if I'm getting a percentage. I'm hearing something discussed about 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 contract doing something. If I'm getting a percentage, let me ask you, Sam, whether you know this. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie had this book, Americana, that was going to be put on HBO. It didn't work out at the end. I don't know what happened. But I wanted to ask you about books, converting books into movies. Why is it not happening enough, a lot in the industry? Or do you think it's something that you would like to see? Being that some books probably they already have audience built in. So is it better if it's a good book and someone turns it into a movie? Does it work better than writing a story from scratch?
Well, I'm gonna use this person as an example. There's this lady called Tomi Adeyemi.
Okay.
And she released a couple of books. Her books are very successful. And one of her books, I think, is called The Children of Anguish and Anarchy, is getting made into a full-fledged movie with A-list actors in it, both from the Nigerian world and the Hollywood world. So it's a combination of both. And Tomi, I went to her book release, I think it was like 2 months ago, and she's really excited about it. The casting just started for Tomi's books, and she's a success story. She's her books are great. She's been a writer. One of the things she wrote on my dad, the Bounty Hunter, is a cartoon on Netflix, and my kids love the show. Love that show. But yes, books definitely can be converted to TV shows, depending on the success of the book. I mean, look at Things Fall Apart. They're now making it into a blockbuster with a Hollywood A-lister. Idris Elba going to be in Things Fall Apart. So it depends on the success of the books. It's Chimanda's book. I don't know what the deal, what kind of deal, or what kind of licensing deal was involved that maybe didn't work out. But I'm sure later on it will come around and somebody will make a movie off of it. But for book writers that want to transition into having their books made into movies, there's a path to it as well, and that path can be discussed with a literal agent, and those are the conversations they need to have. There's a method to everything, and to me, I'm really proud of her. She's a success story, and I think she's doing it. Her books are getting in the right hands. So don't forget, it's always about getting things in the right hands.
Sorry, if I can add to that while you're on the talk of adaptation, I optioned a story from Chimamanda, which I am currently working on, and as I mentioned earlier about having to be able to find a place where you can be comfortable, that they'll really do a good job with you to be able to bring this out. That I had that in mind when I was talking. So optioning stories like and trying to find people who really can see the potential is also one of the challenges. But yes, I read a story that it struck me. I love it, and it's something that I just really want to tell. And she gave me the permission, and I optioned there, and working on it, developing it now. And so these are areas in being able to find these opportunities of how, so, places where you also be comfortable knowing that, people are working with you on making the best out of this, not necessarily keeping some. Yeah, that was shocking a little bit. I didn't know exactly what happened when we were expecting that Americana to be made. I even saw the list of the writers and all the people. I was very excited, and then suddenly it stopped. So these are the part of the challenges that will be interested to really get some light more from you.
There's also the idea that you want to make a movie, and writing it as a book creates that IP. And I'm thinking about taking I've written 19 screenplays and only sold like 3 of them. So I could take some stories that I thought were good that didn't get made, maybe have ChatGPT help me write them into a book or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that's a plus, that you have this physical thing that could show the marketplace or show producers or show resources that people are liking it. So that's super helpful. But I think there's a lot of books a lot of movies are coming from source material of short stories or books. I don't know. I think it's a good move for sure. We love it.
Yeah, I mean, and it is a story that, yes, it's very well accepted. People love it. People still read it, or even in American schools today, colleges, high schools, they're reading this story, and so it makes it such that I am looking for companies, places where you'll be able to really see all these potentials and be able to develop something worthwhile. So,
the market loves IP. It loves source material. I mean, there's a big movie coming out called Minecraft from a video game. Like, love the idea of like, oh, there's a little bit of notoriety from this because people love the book, or people love the game, people love whatever it is, the doll.
Even my son has never read that before, but he heard about it and he's been troubling me. Let's go Minecraft.
It works.
Yes, I mean, so like I was saying, studio movies are hard to make, and I remember one time we had casting for this movie that was getting made. I'm not going to mention the name. And we had, the movie was greenlit, and there were a lot of attachment, like these famous Nigerian writers here in Hollywood were attached to it. The famous director in Hollywood was attached to it, and that movie they were being shot in South Africa, and for some reason the day of last day of shooting, they decided they wanted to scrap the movie. Last day of shooting, and mind you, they've been in South Africa for 2 months shooting this film. Last day that everybody was like, "Oh, thank God we finished." That's a studio movie for you. But if it was independently made, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, right. Studio do that. We don't.
So let me ask you, Sam and Mike. What about animation? There are not a lot of African stories in animation, and I thought that would have been easier, considering we have a lot of folktales that could be turned into animations. What is going on? Why is that not developed?
Well,
it takes years.
Yeah, animation is expensive.
Yeah,
it's expensive to make. I had this client one time, and she wanted to do an animation, and we found her all the talent to go into that project, but she wanted to be the first animation project coming out from Africa, from West Africa. And by the time she went through like 3 different creative companies, she just gave up. She burnt a lot of money too. Like she didn't want to have it made in London or the US. She brought in everybody, but it was hard to construct, to tell the story correctly. And she still I won't say she gave up, but it's she's still working on it. But it's been the project was supposed to take 2 months. Now it's been over a year and six months now. And animation is a whole different enchilada. It takes years. If we can find some great animators in Nollywood, that would be great. But where the great animators are is the U.S. and the European countries. But don't expect them to tell our stories. We have to develop our own animators to do that. There are a couple of good shows. AI is being to help on YouTube that that you're able to like do your own self animation and but it's not like actually physically creating something from scratch and doing that. So, but yeah, if our people they haven't really looked at the animation side of things, but I think it's something that we should take a look at. It might be viable. There's a big market for it.
From filmmaker point of view, a lot of filmmakers I know also have been, even Nigerian filmmakers, people living in Nigeria, attempting animation. And I know people who really love to make animation very passionately. And we've been having some very successful one. Ant Hill Studios in Lagos, Himalayan, he's doing very wonderful animation projects. And we also have stories. There is this Doyin Okupe's books. I'm sure you can see on. There are a lot of Nigerians, people all over the world, are actually also reading these things that potential for So I think that is also growing, and like you said, it's something that people need to invest time and money into. And step on Lagos right now. I'm telling you, you can pull up together. There are hundreds of people who are really into animation that they are at this very starting point.
There's spoof animation, right? That's in Nigeria, right?
The what?
There's a company called Spoof Animation in Nigeria. In South Africa, there's Triggerfish. There's a handful. It's growing.
Yes.
I think Paramount's released one not long ago. Trying to remember the name.
Iwacha.
Yeah, I think there's one of the Paramount release. I remember when I get it, I'll mention it.
Yeah, no, there's a little bits here and there. It's growing. We're gonna keep our eye on it.
Yeah. So it's an area that we will keep working on. I mean, we can't do one-offs here. Oh, there's a bunch, but but we just keep working on it. Just like we know there's like thousands of Nollywood directors, but there's only like 3 animators.
Yeah. All right. Unless there's any other question, I will let Sam and Mike give us their final thoughts. Rahman and Oliver, if you have any other question or comment, you can make it now. But then we'll let Sam and Michael give us their final thoughts.
Yeah, so again, thank you, Rudolph, for giving us this platform to talk about Nigerian films, Nollywood films, and get to talk to your audience. Crossmarket Films came to fill this void of helping filmmakers in that Nollywood space meet the criteria of self-distribution or producing. So we're a startup here in Hollywood, and our goal is to help every Africa-centric filmmaker get to that promised land the best way we can. We know the market. We have over 200 films in our catalog of films that we have released on different platforms, from Tubi to Amazon, Netflix, and we have some that might be going to independent theaters very soon. So we're here to help you as a filmmaker, as a film fund. If you're a film financier, please give us a call as well. There's room for you as well. There's a lot of projects that you can get involved with. There's nothing more than getting your investment into art. Art lives forever. So thank you again, Rudolph, for this. Michael and I, we have an open door policy. You can reach us at crossmarketfilms.com, and our contact information is on there as well.
All right, thank you, Sam. Michael?
Well, I'll be coming out in the fall, and I look forward to meeting people. Look forward to meeting filmmakers and financiers and anybody involved who wants to be part of that community, the film community. So I'm very. I don't have that attitude that it's too difficult of a task to get your film out there. I always feel like I want to tell filmmakers, it's like, keep at it. You'll get there. Study hard and work hard and learn as much as you can. And I think there's never been an easier time, in a way. I know it always seems difficult, but never been an easier time to get to your audience. You get directly to your audience through YouTube and Instagram, and you get directly to distributors like us with a good email. And so you're not, no matter where you are in the world, you're not isolated. You can reach an audience, and once you build an audience of true fans, now you're a filmmaker. You just keep rolling the dice, keep working.
All right. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Rahman. And thank you.
Excuse me, if you could, I'll give you permission to also thank Sam and Michael for coming. It's been a great pleasure to know what you're doing. And I've been, when Ruda mentioned, I've been asking him, and I've been talking at him. I don't talk to this guy that much, but since I saw that, I've been running after him. Like, okay, let's do whatever. But and I'll donate because of that. So thank you very much. It's been wonderful, and thank you, Rudolph. Oliver, thank you for all your questions too. I appreciate it, and we should connect after this, because that film that Rudolph was talking about, maybe we should make it part 2.
Sure,
definitely.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, and
thank you.
I appreciate everybody. I will see you guys next week for another interesting edition of 90 Minutes Africa. All right. See you.